Hello everybody, John Hansis here, Crane Worldwide, covering part one here of the ocean freight shipment. For many of you that are either new to this or maybe pros at this might just be a quick coverage for you, but something I wanted to go over in case somebody's out there not wanting to raise their hand and claim to be a newbie in freight. The ocean shipment is still predominantly your largest form of shipping. Basically, 80% of the goods that you buy today have been transported via ocean. So it's still the largest, most economical way to ship the goods. With that, you basically have your two versions. You have your less than container load and your full container load. Your LCL shipments is basically you have 2 to 3 pallets that you need to ship ocean coming over here. Your full container load is either a 20-foot or a 40-foot ocean container, 10, 20 pallets that you're putting into a container to bring over. So you have those two versions. Most of the time it's actually cheaper to go with a full container load because a lot of times the pricing you're going to incur is more economical to do the full container load coming over. So that's something to keep in mind depending on the cost of your goods, whether you're finished goods, raw material, inventory, returns, so to speak. So a lot of those ones, it depends on that mode, but still it's your best, most economical way. With the shipments, you basically have three areas that you're going to need to focus on. You have from your supplier, your vendor, to the port, port to port, which is your ocean shipping on whatever vessel, and then your inland transportation charge from the port to your final destination. So whether you're on the import or export side, you're still looking at three sides of the equation that you need to pay particular attention to. Because I'm sure out there that there's a lot of you that have received quotes from your vendors, and you're looking at 2 or 3 quotes from 2 or 3 different vendors, and the pricing is very, very jumbled, very high, very low. And that's where, they may be quoting port to port, another one would be quoting port to door, and the third carrier might be quoting door to door. So it's your understanding of those Incoterms, which is going to be the main relying factor in being able to get apples to apples on your quotes, is being able to explain to your carrier exactly what you're looking for and exactly where that legal liability is going to transfer from the buyer to the shipper. So to keep that in mind. Another part to quickly keep in mind is your insurance. Most of the containers that you're going to see in ocean freight, they have a basic liability that you're going to be looking at that generally breaks down to about $500 a container. So in the case of rough seas, the container goes over or what have you, you're only going to be paid out $500 for that container. Most of your companies will carry an insurance policy that maybe have a $10,000 deductible. Well, that $10,000 deductible can easily be covered with an insurance policy, a secondary policy that your carrier can provide to you, and may cost you $50 to $60. So it's a very small cost to incur to ensure the adequate coverage of your cargo. And that needs to be kept in mind once again to looking at your cost of inventory, whether you're finished goods, raw goods, returns. If it's finished goods inventory, you have a lot higher value, so it's something to really keep in mind as you're doing it. The other factor to take a look at is your East Coast versus West Coast ports. For a lot of times your shipments coming in, if you hit your Long Beach, your San Francisco, those kind of ports, once they get there, because they're so busy, you might see a 3 to 5 day time before that container can get unloaded. Versus if you have a little bit longer of a transit time coming into the Gulf or the East Coast, you might have a 1 or 2 day turnaround time to get that container off and get it ready through customs and so forth to be ready to be delivered. So that's another factor to keep in mind, that don't rule out different ports just because that might be the predominant port where you've always shipped to. There's many other options now. There's other options with the ships, with the amount of containers they can do, vessels that are getting to the ports faster. So it's something to generally keep in mind, and to ask your carrier when you're looking at that to make sure you have other options available to you, and that your quotes have that transparency. For instance, a quote from me, you will see completely broken out, every individual line charge. So it's not you're just getting a one-line quote saying it's X amount of dollars. You will see a quote that is broken out by handling fees, any surcharges, any handling fees, customs clearance, the actual ocean shipping charges, your transportation charges. All of those are completely broke out because it's something you want to have complete transparency on, that okay, I can cut that out if I don't need to do port to door. I can do port to port, cut out that inland transportation charge, and here's my new number. So having that understanding of it is a huge part in the ocean shipping game. The next stage of it is, which we'll cover in part 2 tomorrow, is your air freight shipment, so that if you have something urgent that now needs to get pulled off of that ocean container and now become air freight coming over. It's something we can handle for you as well, and it's something I'll cover in part 2 tomorrow. But as far as the ocean shipment, if you have any additional questions, concerns, please feel free to reach out to me. I can be in touch, cell phone, email, InMail, and LinkedIn, any of that might be preferable. Skype as well. So any questions, feel free to reach out for me. Thank you for your time, and look forward to seeing you in part 2 tomorrow.